That actually sounds good.
Never leave the mics on.
Welcome to Voyage with the Geek for another week, this 8th of June 2017. Joining me as always, Stan Miller.
Hello, hello.
And as good as, well, don't set the theme on loop. You guys had your own theme music. Did you hear that?
Excellent.
Had to cut it short though. Rik Legato, Tom McGill, who we can almost call residents now.
Yes.
On the panel,
Yeah.
on the...
Tom and I are like that rash that just won't go away.
Absolutely. We
As
put
long as you put food in front of us, yeah.
3 deadbolts on the door is not enough. A little bit of a hiatus due to catastrophic technical difficulties. But we've managed to get it right. And every time, all roads lead to one piece of software, XSplit, which we love and hate equally at the same time.
I suspect the Russians.
Oh, yes.
We don't know who manufactures XSplit, but it's on a lot of young, say 14 to 28-year-old gamers' PCs out there. It's the game capture broadcast software of choice, so it probably does belong to the Russians. So yes, we last time we had a look at Big Trouble in Little China, and that now exists only in the ether.
Oh, what a show that was.
Was the best
So
show.
we'll revisit that when it's nice and cold.
And we forgot about
And
it.
we've forgotten about it, and so we can rant at one another. Age has its
I will,
benefits.
I will do that if we have the board game here, and while we do the show, we play the game.
Very excited that we found the Big Trouble in Little China board game
That's a good idea.
through the week. I thought that was fantastic. Whose find was that, by the way? Was that yours, Tom?
No.
No, I found it.
It was a good find.
Yeah.
It's got me interested. So tonight we're going to have a look at another cult classic, which is really the flavour of what we do here, is and try to pull it apart, have a look at its narrative, have a discussion on how we found it. Some of us for the first time. I can certainly speak for myself there. And it is Hawk the Slayer, which is a 1980 swords and sorcery cult classic. Out of produced in the UK, Pinewood Studios, and the forest that's just outside of the back door of Pinewood Studios, where many a UK classic, including Doctor Who and various others, all took place in the same. I reckon you could probably hold a whole bunch of stuff up, and there's that tree, there's that ditch.
You can do that in this film.
Oh yeah, you would, from shot to shot. You're right. There was a couple of shots.
Miles away, and there's the same tree again.
I think at one point they went through another dimension, came out the other side, and it was the same tree.
It was the same tree, that's right.
So, how are we, gentlemen? How
Pretty-
was our short hiatus?
I'm pretty good. Short hiatus, a little bit too long, unfortunately. Lost that last show, but yeah, I don't know. I'm ready to go.
Rick?
I'm good. I actually got to watch a film I didn't hate. So
Yep.
I'm pretty happy.
And you
about
watched it with the lady?
that. Yep. Who gave her colourful commentary the entire way through.
She didn't share the same passion for it that you did.
She does
She should
kind
be
of like
here.
it. Yeah, she should be. She
Add
had
some polarization to
She
the
had
podcast.
some choice ways to describe some of the props.
I dare say she was. I dare say, yeah, there's the sword of fist, probably. I dare say there was a bias there as well, trying to protect your juvenile feelings of yesteryear, which I would understand that. Tom?
I saw the film for the first time. I think it's the first film that I'm on with this podcast that I hadn't already known. So,
Same.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
So,
right.
so we're
Yeah.
all virgins except for you.
Yep, it's one of my all-time favourites.
And you've seen it a lot.
So
yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to tell us that story, right? So when did you first see it, and why did you keep watching it, and did you?
why did you keep watching it?
And what kept you coming back?
The bigger question.
No, let me give you a bit of context with that, because I was reading comments from people online, and you can go to various different places where random blogs and IMDb, people are leaving comments, and there is a very strong feeling out there amongst people that thought that this was the most awesome shit that they had ever seen when they were a kid. Some comments, I'll give you two. One was some guy was saying, I used to love this so much. I held a tape recorder up against the TV and pressed record and recorded the whole thing on cassette tape so that when my family and friends could go on, when we went on holiday, I could play just the audio and listen to it.
Dan, kids, I did the same thing to The Black Hole.
Oh, really?
Oh, did you?
That's a bad film.
Because The Black Hole is the classic that I go to when I want to describe a movie that did not age well. Because I loved it
and
as
I
well.
loved it as well. And I had it on tape because
And I
I would
saw it
lie in bed
recently.
and listen to the film.
Yeah, I saw it recently and it did not.
I don't want to
well.
see it again.
And there were a couple of people that said, I don't think I kind of want to watch it again.
Yeah,
because I do love it and I do have this fond memory of it. And the last one I'll tell you is that some guy was writing and he's like, I found this movie again. And it's like, nobody believed me. I told people about this movie and nobody believed me. And in the end, I thought it was a dream. I thought I dreamed the movie.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is real. I found it again. This is pretty amazing.
Because I think it didn't get released in Australia for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah, there was a really late, delayed release in Australia. But then again, I mean, we were so far behind the rest of the world in the 80s, for this type of stuff. And for me, it is the exact recipe for that sorcery swords, 1980s, the Krull. There's a whole bunch of movies there that all sort of fit
when
into
did
that
Dungeons
genre.
and Dragons gaming really take off? When was
In the
that?
1980s.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
towards the
They-
late.
they all hit-
Before? Is this these fantasy films spring out of that?
I mean,
Role-playing?
it was already happening by 1980, but it didn't really hit until the mid-80s big.
Yeah.
Sort of 83.
Excalibur was a big film, although it was sort of based on a story that sort of dated a lot earlier. But that whole knights and shining swords and all that sort of stuff.
A lot of people quote that this kicked that type of thing off. I'd like to actually see a bit of a chronology of what happened after it and what happened before it. But
There's certainly some good lists on IMDb for swords and sorcery, so you can get like the top 30 of them. And there's a whole bunch in there. There's Dragon Slayer. There's a whole bunch that just look exactly the same. They
But
all
this
look.
is a classic dungeon quest thing. You have
Yeah.
your standard token dwarf. You have to have the
Yeah.
elf. It's just a
It has all
normal-
the tropes.
It has everything in there, and it's a quest.
Yeah.
Whereas Dragon Slayer.
Yeah. So was there a
Slightly
gap?
different.
Did you see it recently, having not seen it for a while?
Yeah.
How long?
Maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it. I was at uni, very poor. We had exhausted all the sword and sorcery films we knew. This is around 1990. We'd gone through our Conans and our Krulls and anything else that we could get our hands on. And then someone told us Hawk the Slayer. And we could not believe that there was a fantasy film out there we hadn't seen. So we went to local video, had to rejoin under a different name because we never paid our fines. So we had multiple
sounds like a quest within a quest. Here.
aliases there.
There's just a whole bunch of memories just came flooding back to me of late fees on videos.
Yeah. Anyway, and like I said, we were so excited because we couldn't believe that there was a sword and sorcery film out there we hadn't seen. And we took it in, and people, youngins have to remember that this is before Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And we put it on, and I think we squealed like girls the entire time. We're just like, it's fantastic! And then it became sort of our, along with Mad Max, Dogs in Space. There were 3 films that we just kept watching over and over and over again.
The tag is with the aid of his companions, a man seeks to defeat his evil brother who has taken a nun hostage.
Yes.
Whoever
What'd you
wrote
think
that,
of the nuns?
whoever wrote that could have done better, I think.
Well, I like this one up here, where this is where they tried to do better. And it's like, two brothers
Yes.
locked in deadly combat
Yep.
to the end of time. And it's like, what do you mean the end of time? That doesn't even mean anything. And it's not even in the movie.
I swear there was some better ones
Well, he does get
offered up.
resurrected, doesn't he? So.
Well, I
there'll be-
suppose.
yeah, he keeps getting woken up at the end.
Maybe that is the end of time reference. Because there's been talk about making a sequel, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And
That was the
a
plan.
remake as well.
I thought the plan was
remake?
for this to become a series.
There's talk of that as well.
I had a feeling that the way it ended was so it would be. I felt that they were leaving the ending open enough that if it got picked up, it could become
The interesting
a
thing,
series.
Yeah.
maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but they're also leaving the beginning open enough as well. It's as if there was already a show or a movie prior to this,
Yeah.
because
the prequel.
they all just get together again to
Yeah.
have another adventure again.
I believe that some of the actors are still doing the circuits with sword in hand.
Right. Okay.
Like that sword gets wheeled out at conventions all the time. And the main guy, the
Terry. John Terry.
John Terry, he's still... I think he's got something to do with the push to get the part 2 happening.
I would get his autograph at Supernova.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be one of those.
I was pretty
Absolutely.
sure there was a Kickstarter for it in 2015, but it didn't
I
come
didn't
off.
even know about him.
Yeah, there was a Kickstarter. Yeah, I did read that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive into what this film is all about. And just to give anyone a heads up that's listening to the drivel that is this show, we try to have a look at the film in a linear format where we look at it from start to finish, from credits to credits. And along the way, we add what we found when we talk about certain things. And that's basically the format that we follow. And we try to get to the end of the film by the time the clock runs out. We're doing quite well. We're only 10 minutes. We've wasted only 10 minutes in the drivel thus far. And Dan is our master of ceremonies when it comes to progressing us through that narrative, keeping us on the straight and narrow.
Cool.
All yours, Dan. Where do we start here? Well, first, for me, the rotoscoped animated opening
I thought you'd like
bird
that.
effect. That was pretty cool.
Okay. I didn't
Wasn't
think about
happy with the 8-year-old girl screaming, which was supposed to be what was it? A crow? It was supposed to be a
Hawk.
crow. Oh, of
that.
course.
Hawk the Slayer.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah.
Did you watch the film, dude?
No, I did. Well, I'm off to a terrible start. But if you listen next time, you'll hear the scream, which is supposed to be a hawk noise, is clearly probably somewhere between 8 and 9-year-old girl or boy, I don't know,
Being tortured.
being tortured.
Giving
Yeah,
a Chinese burn and like.
and record, break the finger. So take us from there, Dan.
All right. So, as kind of usual, I've just sort of written down a whole bunch of story beats, and we can kind of talk about them, and that will sort of progress us through the movie. There was a whole lot of a whole lot of beginning that happened at the beginning. There were a number of different sort of story beats that were going on. So, the first one I was thinking about was the inciting incident. So, what kicks this whole story off?
Dad gets murdered.
Dad gets murdered.
Around the pink
Gets shanked.
the pink and gold jacuzzi,
The pink and gold jacuzzi.
With a very lazy-looking.
Gargoyles.
which we're not sure whether it had anything to do with the story, but it looked like a pretty funky room to hang the sword of fist in.
Yeah, and notice that, yes, well, you won't notice because
Fisting sword.
there's the yeah.
The empty fist, yes, that's
Yes,
right, at this
it's-
stage.
I don't know. There's lots to love about this. Why is he in a gold temple? A gold foil thing? I don't know. He's also like doing the kind of grand wizard praying thing. That, wizards pray beside purple saunas. I don't know.
Gargoyles.
There's
They're the most bored-looking gargoyles you've ever seen. They're sort of propping up their heads, thinking of their dreamy crush from high school.
Okay, now we also see two other shots, and it is of a dark rider, cloppity clop on his horse, and we also see what looks like Han Solo on his horse.
Yes.
Riding
Elsewhere in the...
Yes. Then they're both riding through the forest for
Yes.
some reason.
Because this is a flashback, right? This is not the start of the... This is already
Oh,
in the
did you
film
perceive it as a
that's
flashback?
That's what I perceive. Just the whole story, backstory of him with his wife, and so they all come as
No,
flashbacks.
I thought it was
I thought it was real time.
I
Okay.
thought we were real time.
Yeah.
I thought we were real
I think
time.
the flashback of the wife getting murdered, that's definitely a flashback.
He's definitely got flashbacks.
But at
all
this
through it.
stage, I didn't know he was the son.
He says it though.
Yeah, he says it like I had to watch it. It was the second. I had to rewatch the first 15 minutes because I really wasn't committed, and then I realised it was the son. But the first time I watched it, I just thought he was a dude.
Okay, so what? So this is Voltron. No, it's Voltran.
Voltran, played
Right.
by Jack Palance.
Voltan.
Sorry, Voltan. Yes, no, you're correct. So it's Voltron Trantan. And what's his title?
Dark Lord,
Almost.
Dark One.
He's the Dark One.
He is the Dark One.
the dark one.
Voltran, the Dark One. Don't know where he got that. I mean, turns out Hawk's his brother, the Slayer. So, I don't know. You can imagine them as kids.
I got a feeling.
Voltran, the Dark One, come on in.
Did you get
You
the
have to do the
set-
washing?
Did you get the sense that this guy had a purpose, whereas Hawk was really just riding around with his girlfriend a lot in the forest, and then got sort of wrapped up in it when the old boy got skewered?
Well, that's exactly the point. This is really kind of weird, right? Because, so, Voltron Tran comes on in, the Dark One, and he says, what does he want?
He wants the hidden magic.
He
secret.
wants the hidden secret.
Yeah.
No, he wants the secret power of the something. And the other dude, I don't know if he's even got a name.
He is.
But where you find that, he essentially says no, and Voltron Tran is a man of, action and doesn't like to negotiate too much, so he just stabs him. Turns out that,
As you do.
as you do, don't get what you want, stab. Turns out that that's his father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you did some maths on the ages, I think.
Yes, there's a bit of trivia. The son, played by Jack Palance, the actor, Jack Palance, is 4 years younger than the father that he skewered.
The actor, yes.
The actor,
Yeah,
yes.
See, I thought they'd done that because Volton's been involved in the war up north, and it's aged him. You
Oh,
see.
okay, yeah. That makes,
Ah,
that makes
yes,
perfect sense.
yes,
and
of
you are
course.
the authority
That's right.
on this film.
Okay, so this is the inciting incident. This is what's going to kick everything off. So they go riding through the forest. Voltran,
By the way, his name's Old Man.
oh, he's
Yeah.
what really?
Old Man, father of Hawk and Voltron.
What's an old man in more than one movie that we've reviewed so far?
Yeah. So yes, no name. He had no name
He's also
in the script.
So Voltron comes in. He wants, the power. His father says no. Stabs his father. Then he immediately exits.
Yes.
Right. Now, it just so happens that 2 seconds behind him is Han Solo / Hawk the Slayer, who comes bounding in. And so, what does the father say in this scene here at this moment?
Don't look at me.
Even I can't remember.
The prophecy has come true.
Of course, there's a prophecy.
So
There has
Hawk
to be a
is the
prophecy.
prophecy.
We've
There has to
We've
be
got a
a
magic
prophecy.
item. We've got a prophecy. Father hates the son. Okay, so
Bring balance.
okay, so we've got to bring. Yeah, we've got it all sorted now.
It ticks
Except
all
we
the
don't know who
fantasy
that
boxes.
guy is because there's no introduction to.
No.
And the
He
other
just
thing is,
shows up.
we're not quite told what the actual prophecy is. He's like, "Oh my God, the prophecy has come true," and it's like, "What prophecy?" What?
Wow, that makes it interesting. But the fact that the main guy doesn't really get an introduction throughout the entire film,
No, you're right.
at no point.
Yeah.
He gets a kind of circumstantial introduction that you can work out backwards
All
if
his
you
little minions, all his friends that he calls, have a better intro
Yeah.
than he gets.
No,
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
I can't help but feel that there was some backstory they shot, but it just didn't come up to par.
Okay, so he says, the coldness of death is in my limbs. And he gives Hawk what he needs, which is a big whopping sword
The Mind Sword.
with a mind sword
With a
And
gem.
and a rock.
and an elf egg.
That activates the Mind Sword.
Was it an elf?
Yes, I don't know what it was. I didn't write it down.
Looked
But
a
it's
lot
some
like
sort of.
some sort of pebble. It
Some
was a
sort of-
round pebble.
Glowing green rock.
It was a glowing green
I
pebble.
believe it's an elf egg.
Yeah.
It's some elven magic thing.
And
Yes.
so he stabs the sword into the what can only be brickwork.
Yes.
And it stands up in the foreground.
Yes.
And proceeds to open its fist to receive
The floaty
the rocky, floaty, glowy egg of whatever.
Of elves.
Elven kidney stone.
And at which point it closes around the glowing thing and becomes the magical sword of fist.
And we're ready to rock and or roll.
Absolutely.
I am always constantly amazed at how many actors in the sword and sorcery movements persist in stabbing their sword, their expensive piece of equipment,
absolutely.
that they have sharpened and kept stabbing it into the ground. Walk up and say, "Hello, everybody!" Stab my sword in the ground. Imagine if you did that in a military sense today with a guy, a rifleman with his
bayonet.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Get out.
Okay. So, Dad's dead now. The next thing that happens is, of course, that Hawk. Yes, he's. What does Hawk say after that?
Does he say something at all?
He makes a vow, doesn't
Exactly.
he? Yes, he swears vengeance.
Vengeance on Voltran.
Which is never a good thing to drive the hero, is it? Vengeance.
Well, he is called Hawk the Slayer.
He's a
Well,
slayer.
I guess
and
he's
he-
out to slay, isn't he?
and does he live up to his name in the
Of course
film?
he does.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
He loves nothing more than the slaying.
So
And this is the facial
Aha.
expression. If they had have cast that expression onto a mask, they
Yes.
could have comfortably just got any actor to wear that mask. It would have been pretty much the same performance for most of the film.
Rick, say something. Defend yourself.
No, I just think John Terry was involved in very early experiments of Botox,
Absolutely.
and that's the best he could do.
I think it's a-
and I'd like to add, I call that the Steely Hawk look.
yes.
My theory is, and we should have mentioned this earlier, the director's goal for this film was to make a swords and sorcerers version of A Fistful of Dollars.
That's
That's why the music, we hear that whistle in the music in the opening
Yeah,
credits.
yeah.
I kept thinking back at Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, Seven Samurai.
Yeah,
It's,
Seven
that's what it
Samurai.
is.
But I mean, he's been interviewed and quoted like he wanted to make a Clint Eastwood spaghetti western, basically the Fistful of Dollars, and that's, I think my theory is this is Terry's Clint Eastwood impression, right? This straight faced, no over emotion, whatever. And when you think about it, that's what Eastwood does in those films. So I'm letting him off the hook a little bit on that,
Okay.
but it's purely based on speculation and theory.
No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
My Beck had to say that he looked too clean to be in a fantasy world. He looked too...
Yeah. Everybody else was grungy and disgusting.
And he looked too much like a pretty boy, were
That's
her
why I
exact
think
words.
he was just riding around with his girlfriend in the forest and didn't really get dirty, didn't do any of the work, while the other brother was off winning wars and conquering lands.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of personal hygiene.
Once a year, whether you need it or not.
That's right.
Motto I live by. Okay, so just this early inciting incident. I don't know. I think it's a bit weird. When Voltran arrives, he stabs some guard in the back, and then goes inside and hassles his dad, and then stabs his dad, and then leaves.
Yeah.
And then, for no reason at all, the Hawk's Slayer turns up and gets the magic sword.
Well, the Hawk the Slayer, they announced him. There was that's why he stabbed the dad, because he was coming. The prince is here or something. I said they yell out something, or there's a bell that chimes or something, and that's why he stabs him. He said, "I've got no time, so you'll die with the secret."
Oh, you reckon he was running from Hawk the Slayer for some reason?
I don't think he wanted to get caught.
I think he didn't want Hawk to
And
know the
that,
secret.
Yeah. Maybe they were both summoned.
And can I just say at this point, that as someone who has played Warhammer and 100 million other fantasy board games and D&D, you're all demand a lot. Like, to me, that's a green gem. It doesn't have to be anything else. It's a magical green gem.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I find your
It was a pebble.
pedanticness disturbing.
I think
Like,
as
to
a
me,
narrative device, I agree with you, right? As a production quality thing, I struggle with the grey river
No, you
rock
got to.
thing.
There's so much glowy.
But I did like the elf egg.
There's
I
so
like
much
the elf
neon
egg.
glowiness going on in this film.
Yeah.
You got to set that standard right at the start.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there
that's
is
true.
a lot of glow.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
All right, next story beat. We're still actually in some early inciting incident stuff, and the next person we meet is, well, I've got the story beat called "The One-Armed Bandit Meets Some Nuns." So this guy, we have to also remember, because this is important for the story. Where do we first see him? Ralph
In the forest.
in the forest, staggering around because he's had his hand chopped off.
Because there's a great battle.
That's
a great battle.
His
Voltan
village. His village was
His
just
village
raided.
and the
Yeah.
younglings.
He was running away from the battle, wasn't he? Or he was running to get help.
He
He was
was
the only
running away
survivor.
from the battle, right? Now, who was the person who was conducting that battle on the bad side?
The dark one.
The Dark
Yeah.
One.
Voltan.
So, if we're putting this in real time, let's just rewind. Voltron runs into the Golden House, demands a sword from his dad. His dad won't give it to him. He stabs Dad with his own sword, and then he immediately exits the Golden House and runs off to ransack the nearby village and kill all the younglings.
See, I have to rewatch that again because I thought that stabbing was a flashback. I thought Hawk had the sword for a while with his, because later on when all his friends, they have already had all these adventures. So he must have had that sword for a while.
No.
I thought it was but I could be wrong. But that's
you
the
could be right.
impression
You could be
I
right.
had.
I understood it to be that he was Hawk the Slayer with a regular sword, and he was just pretty handy with that.
Actually, Tom.
And
might
then
be
he got
right, because
upgraded.
remember, all of the heroes that he goes and grabs, his mates,
He knows them all.
he knows them all.
Yes.
So therefore, it must be the early part of the film there. If the other part is in the linear real time, then it is a flashback to when he gets the sword of fist.
Unless Dan's right and he might have been a hero without the sword.
I always just
either's
understood it that he
possible.
just got an upgrade and he just
Yeah.
got bonus.
All right.
Nobody knows.
Something to do with a prophecy, probably.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
All right then. So Voltron must prepare the way for the overthrow of the one who stands in the way of victory.
Mm-hmm.
So where does that discussion happen?
At the
In the red
cave.
cave.
Yes.
So we find out that Voltron actually has a master, the Emperor.
Don't say Voltron. It's a totally different character.
It's Voltan.
Voltran. Sorry.
No R. There's no R. It's Voltan.
Is it Voltan?
Yeah.
Tarn. Okay. Call him the Dark One.
See,
Vol-
that's what
Voltron's a large robot made of
I know.
small
that's why
metal
the,
cats.
the Greek version of the movie called him Jack.
All right, so we also find out that he has a boss, and okay, and then the boss tells the Dark One,
Find the one-armed man. The
Yes,
one-armed
yeah,
man
yeah, yeah.
seeks the blah, blah, blah. So he goes looking for the one-armed man.
yeah. So then the Dark One arrives at the nunnery.
Yes.
Okay, so what happens at the nunnery?
Well, as far as I can tell, it had no real bearing on the one-armed man or the quest or anything else. He just wanted some bucks. He needed some bickies. He needs a bit of wad. So he was going to steal somebody for ransom.
That's what actually happens. Yeah. So he wants to steal a nun for ransom.
He just wanted money. Didn't he? Was there any
Or
connection
was it-
to any quest
Or was
or
he
anything?
trying to bring out Hawk?
Yes, that's is what I think is trying to happen.
Ah.
But then they
Remember-
wrecked that part of the plot right at the end. But I
Yeah.
think at this stage, that's to
Because-
draw out Hawk.
Yeah.
Because when he goes, you remember there's that scene when he's like outside the red cave and he's like, I have given my power to the dark side.
Yeah.
And then he goes inside and then she uses the other elf egg to laser his face.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, she says, you must prepare to overthrow the one who's in the way of the thing, prophecy, something. And so that brings up go to the nunnery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Goes to the nunnery where he does vicious violence to a loaf of bread.
That's right. He shows
that was-
what will happen.
That was mid-threat. Like, that was a threat.
That was a threat.
If I come back here, I will chop this bread up. That's what I took from that.
That's right. We will slice and dice your bread supplies within an inch of their lives.
I'll come back and make sandwiches.
Yes.
I'll
Pretty
make
much how I got
sandwiches
it.
out of
with
a
my
lot of
long
you.
sword.
All right then. So we're still building. Okay. So now we've got the sword, we've got the prophecy, and we've got, and then this guy. This is Ralph.
He tries to save the abbess and cops a crossbow bolt to the chest,
Yeah.
but it still won't take him down. He's lost his hand.
It's a
knife.
dagger. It's a dagger.
Oh, it was too. It was a dagger.
Remember
Which in this
Voltron?
film apparently is, and this is the
That's his
fistful
thing?
of dollars thing, is that
Oh,
it's
you
all
reckon?
about speed. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's how you have the gunfights.
Okay. Yeah. True. Yeah. So apart from getting his hand chopped off, he then gets a dagger in the nipple.
That's right.
And then that's like, oh God, this bloody hurts. But fortunately, he's surrounded by nuns, and we know.
it was the bad guy that said, "Let him live.
Yes, that's right.
We'll do my bidding."
For some reason.
So that confirms your theory that really they're trying to draw out the Hawk. That's why he says, "Let him live," because he will go and the one-armed man will go and get my foe.
Okay, so they patch up old Ralph again.
Ranulf, actually, get your names right, Dan.
What's his name?
It's Voltan.
Voltan.
Voltan the Explorer, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's Ranulf.
Voltan the Explorer.
Ranulf.
Ranulf.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ranulf. Oh, well, okay, we're going to come up to another name that
He'll mangle.
I'll mangle in a little while. So, anyway, he has to go and visit the abbot, of course.
Of Canonbury.
Yeah.
Canonbury, is it?
Before you destroy it. Thank you.
Yeah.
The abbot of Cadbury.
Cadbury.
Cadbury, the Cadbury chocolate abbot.
The Cadbury abbot. Who has the special gold coin.
Yes.
Which is a signal.
Yeah, it's like the bat signal.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a signal to go and find Hawk and give him this, and he'll know that he needs to be here.
You know,
He
and
needs to come
there's a
and save the day.
rather interesting speech from the abbot, and he's like, "Yes, we'll need somebody to help us. You know, I've heard of a band of heroes. So happens I just saw them the other day, wandering around in the forest just down there.
Love it.
Anyway, take this coin. That will somehow make them understand." So he gives the coin to, what's his name again? Ranulf. All right, so then Ranulf heads off. And so we have in our minds that Ranulf is going off to find somebody. And we know that it's Hawk the Slayer. And we've just seen him just briefly before. So the next story beat, I call, who the fuck is Hawk?
Yeah.
Okay, so the story beat, we have to get a bit of Hawk.
We knew at this point that he's the hero because of the slow motion shots.
Yes.
Quite a lot of slow motion action on the
And of course he's pretty and well groomed and well dressed.
Yes, he's got perfect
He's
hair.
not
and he has the sword of fist.
dressed in black and what I can only assume is a very Darth Vader influenced helmet on Voltan.
On the bad guy, yes.
That's the Darth Vader helmet, if ever.
And
you saw
you're
one.
not the first. There's a lot of fans that have that theory as well. That there's a lot of Star Wars influence.
Well, this
on
is 3 years
film.
after Star Wars. It was 1980, so it was a
That even the tall guy and the dwarf.
Oh, the bickering. That's C-3PO and
R2-D2,
R2-D2. That's the total bickering of them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
We probably have to talk about the helmet. Maybe this is a good time to talk about the helmet
of
the Dark One.
There's a. I'm tempted to use it to teach students the. When you work in animation, when you work in any sort of screen environment, we talk about the read. And it's about the audience being able to work out what the hell's going on. And if the audience can't work it out, then they just get stuck. And it doesn't matter how good the narrative is, right? So when we talk about good animation, it's evident exactly what I'm supposed to take away is what I take away.
It's clear.
Somebody came up with an idea for a helmet, right, on the bad guy, on the most prolific overactor in Hollywood's history almost,
He's
right?
acting to 11.
Jack Palance.
Going to 11.
Where the helmet from the side swept around and actually blocked his mouth, and it was already a one-sided helmet because he was blind in one eye and had this nothing going on here. So we got to see this, but from the side we got to see that. And he's really pouring it on in some of the scenes, and you can't tell what his face is doing.
That's right.
And it's all down to whoever designed that helmet.
The
You know
eye
what I
is
mean?
enough, Dave. The eye, just look at his eye and you can already see what's going on.
Which is, it almost frustrated me because I love Jack Palance. I love the way he delivers everything on 11.
Yeah. So, I noticed that as well. That was just a bit of a weird choice that we had Jack on 11 and we were going to cover up his face. Okay, so what is our example? Also, remember, we've also got other story beats to pick up because we're doing Seven Samurai type stories. So we've got to collect a bunch of heroes.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Well, it's the one-armed man that's collecting the heroes, and Hawk is the first of them.
well, okay, yeah.
Well, one-armed man was tasked by the abbot to go and find the heroes.
Well, that's true. That's actually true. That's an interesting take.
One of the disappointing things that I found about the movie is that he's not collecting them. He's just calling his mates. Say, come on, we'll do it again. It's not... I mean, part of the Seven Samurai and all their spin-offs.
You have to
films.
entice
You have to entice them. They don't want to go. You got to give them incentive. And here it's just, here we're going,
No,
and
it's less
he
than
gets
that.
magically
It's
teleported
this.
into the dungeon. Yeah. Okay, we're off. And they don't even journey. It's the witch. The witch, she just sends, she does magic hula hoops, but we're not there yet. We'll get there.
Literally.
So
Yeah.
I found that a shame. I thought that was a wasted opportunity.
And we know from Journey from the Hero that the heroes are supposed to resist.
Yes.
They don't want to be
And he doesn't do
grandstanding.
that either. He gets a sword and marches
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. He's a slayer, right?
and
Vengeance will do that.
Yeah, do that to
there
you.
must
Blind
have been, the
everything.
whole film is written in such a way that there must have been a pre-story, or at least it's presented as something that has had a prior history.
Yeah, it feels like it's book 2 of a trilogy or something. Yeah.
All right, so there's some very well groomed. At least one of them is fairly well groomed. Evil people, and they're going to burn the witch.
Oh, that's right.
Ah, yes, the witch.
That's right.
Burn the
That's
witch.
right.
And the witch.
Now, it seems a little. So he comes up and does some immediate. Yes, acting.
Slaying.
Lots of acting.
Acting.
There's a little bit more acting.
Acting.
Close up of
Oh,
acting.
those stare-offs. They have several of those in the film
Well,
Well,
as
see,
well.
this is
It's a
that
Western.
fistful of
Yeah,
fistful
yeah.
of dollars. That's
Yeah.
it's Sergio Leone.
So they're going to burn the witch.
Yep.
Now the weird thing for me is that it seems legal to burn witches.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know what his beef is about burning the witch. It
I
seems.
think if you're alone in a forest behind Pinewood Studios, you can do what you like because there's just nobody around.
But anyway, our hero decides for some reason that that's not on.
Because that's what heroes do.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
They have to cut a few bandits' guts out early on in the
He's a
piece.
slayer.
Yeah, he is a slayer.
Got to slay.
And that's why I entitled this section "Who the fuck is Hawk?" Because we are going to find out.
I think if he came into Mos Eisley Bar, he'd beat Dr. Iwazan or something. He'd go up to any stranger and says, "I don't like your face. I'm gonna slay you."
yes.
Yeah.
He just looks for excuses to
And when
kill.
you think of A Fistful of Dollars, Clint Eastwood's killing guys everywhere, like everywhere. He's quite the slayer in those films as well.
Okay, but I want to talk about the actual kill. So there's like, I don't like your face, and then the hero stands there. I don't like your face. Let's fight. Hero's like, oh, okay. Ching 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 ching, and then he pushes back with his sword. And then the bad guy is bested, and the bad guy is like, oh, that guy's pretty strong. And then what does our Hawk the Slayer say?
Walk away.
You've been defeated.
Yeah.
Walk away.
Walk away in peace.
Walk away. Back down. And then what does he do? And this is critically important.
Turns his back.
He turns his back immediately.
Provoke him.
To provoke him.
He wants to kill him.
And then the guy thinks, oh, I'll stab him in the back then.
Yeah.
But Hawk the Slayer,
Yeah.
this is all part of his plan.
Yeah.
And he whips around and just slices his guts open. And just,
I didn't notice it, but you're right. So in theory, he was always going to slash his guts open.
Yes. He just had to do it. There's etiquette.
There's the good guy way.
There's
to do
good
it.
guy etiquette, right? He has
Even bad guys.
He
Because
gave the bad guy a check.
He did.
even the bad guy, even Voltan later on, doesn't slay his men without insisting that they have a weapon in their hand. I found that admirable.
Yes, that is.
Kudos to
And
him.
This
it's
is chivalry.
a staple of a spaghetti western. Is the good guy will always sort of allow the bad guy, and then he turns on him, and he turns around quickly and shoots him.
Yes, I mean even in the in the standoff, the bad guy has to draw first,
Yep.
but the good guy's faster.
Yep. Yep.
Good guy shot first.
Yep.
All right then. So we get a bit of a workout of what's going on there. So our next one here that I think you've got is what I've called Ralph Gets in Trouble.
Yes.
Ralph is seriously unlucky.
Yeah, well,
He
having a
is
bad day.
a
isn't he,
completely
man?
useless git.
He's
The fact that he actually found the hawk, I don't know how that actually happened. In
But
fact,
he didn't
Hawk
find
found
the hawk.
him
Yes.
tied to a tree, about to get skewered by a couple of guys who were having a competition to see how close they could shoot.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah. So he walks into these bunch of scoundrels, and they decide to tie him to a tree and have a bit of a. There we go. Have a bit of a gambling match before they kill him.
There's a lot of bad sorts wandering around that forest.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
Yeah.
That's true. It's filled with bad swords.
Potentially the same guys are just wandering around for the 2 decades that the BBC and other places were using this forest. And these guys would turn up in the forest in Robin Hood.
Yes,
in one week, and
yeah.
Doctor Who the next week.
They live in tents in the forest.
They're not actors.
Yeah, yeah.
They're squatters.
yeah. And that's how they live. They just get their work and they just they see some camera guys walking through the forest, and they say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we can be bad guys."
I thought it was interesting that this is one of the few swords and sorcery movies where they were chucking knives everywhere, the little mini axes and stuff like that. It was
There's
very
a lot of that going on.
And we'll get to it, talk about it later. But the speed shooting and the speed arrows and stuff like that, you didn't see it often in this genre of film.
No.
All right, so he's tied to the tree. Essentially, Hawk stumbles through the forest because everybody's walking around the same forest. Finds them, kills the bandits, releases our good friend Ralph, or whatever his name is. The one-armed bandit.
Yep.
And he gets the coin. And he gives it to Hawk. Says, "You must be the Hawk."
There's a little bit of powerful close-up acting going on there.
Yes,
too.
there's some serious...
He
In fact,
almost
yes,
squints there. Almost.
That's right. He throws the sword.
he throws the sword. There's a lot of throwing of stuff going on in this movie.
I think he takes one guy out with the sword throw and then a knife throw to the other guy.
Now then they sit down in the forest, and then we have to do a bit of a walk.
A little bit more dark one, bullying people at the local cafe.
Yeah, this I thought was a bit of an odd thing. Look at the acting going on. There's yes, but anyway.
Choked him from the back with one hand.
Yeah.
I think they needed that helmet to contain his acting.
Maybe, maybe that was it. Maybe that was it.
It's lead lined.
We need you to drop it back a notch. He said, "No way." He said, "Well, we'll fix your wagon, mate."
So Ralph actually has a line in the forest when he's talking to Hawk, and he's saying, "Cause, have you ever crossed swords with him?" Which causes Hawk to go into a memory trip out. But anyway, they throw in a couple of these little scenes, and then they have to go and find their comrades, right? So that's the next part of the adventure. And they have to... And then Hawk says that their comrades are not going to be easy to find, and they will have to take a journey through the forest of Weir. What are we waiting for?
Tom's given me a message here, and is that you
That
mean
video
that's
is
looping?
totally out of sync,
Oh yeah, no, this is eBay, YouTube.
and it's also looping. I saw repeat movements, but maybe I was mistaken. But I didn't want to interrupt, so I didn't.
Aha! That's good that
But you
didn't.
did anyway. Well done. Subtle.
My best.
I think it's about a 30-second delay onto YouTube.
All right. Back to where we should be.
Now I'm nervous.
I have been for the last 10 minutes.
I was wondering what you're doing.
I'm not interrupting. That's what I'm doing. Dan, please
Really big
continue.
font. It was like this massive font, and I'm like,
Whose idea was it to bring Tom?
I'm here to entertain.
okay. So they're sitting around. He's just saved the one Renault, and and they're talking about we're going to need help.
Yes.
We
they're
need
gonna
help.
Okay, and they're going to have to go and get help,
Yep.
and that means they're going to have to go on a journey
Yes.
through the forest of Weir.
Yes.
To seek the woman.
Via the doorway of dimensional
Yes.
passage.
And why you actually have to go through the doorway and can't just walk around it, I'm not sure. But it's traditional,
It is
probably.
traditional.
It's traditional.
That's right.
The journey of 1,000 green miles through Spiderweb starts with a
my
single
wife
step.
pointed out the exact same thing.
Yeah.
She was like, why don't you just walk around?
She's onto something. Oh, obviously there's a flashback here before they go on the journey through the doorway, where he's seen to be riding the white horse through the forest with his girlfriend on the back.
Yeah.
And they run in. This is the first sort of run in with the brother, the dark one, before he bemes a dark one, I guess. Is he?
He's
dark
he's
already.
dark. He's
pretty
always the
dark,
dark one.
but is he the dark
He's
one?
not the
No,
dark one.
no,
He's just
he's
kind
the-
of a bit...
Hang on.
And he's very
Hang
jealous.
on. What helmet has he got there?
I know. I think he's got the same helmet
No,
without the welded on bit.
I think he took it off before and it didn't have the mask.
Yeah.
I want to get that checked.
So he's very jealous.
Yes.
Ultimately, the problem between the brothers comes down to a woman,
Yes.
and he believes she should be with him.
Yeah, that's right. So that causes a bit of friction in the family. There's going to be some arrows.
He rides off and says, "You'll see, brother."
Yes, yeah.
And then we're at the gateway of doom.
That's right. So you have to go through the gateway of doom, and then you go into the green forest. Now,
But there's a rule.
there's a rule. That's right.
You must stay within the light of the fist sword
With the elf egg in
or,
it.
or risk being lost forever.
That's right. And they do, and nothing happens.
And all the people who don't dare enter, they get tied up outside to rot. Is that why they're all there? Because they're the people that got lost. And they got
Yep.
Yes.
They're the ones that tried to go around the outside.
There are a lot of props in
Against
that
the
film.
rules.
Beautiful props of skeleton and mummies.
Yep.
And some of them quite nicely made, which are in the film only during a dissolve from one shot to the other. The camera moves and he rides through the forest and you just see something interesting coming into a shot when
And
it
it fades out.
fades away into something else. And whoever built that mummy thing never...
That'd be dirty.
Yeah.
All right, so they ride through the forest, and it turns out the witch lives in the forest on the other side.
That's where they
No,
were
the other
heading.
side. Yeah,
They were heading to the other side
Yeah.
to talk with the witch that he saved earlier in the piece.
Yes. So she's also part of the Seven Samurai, right? So there's the witch, there's
Yes.
Ralph.
Yep.
Or we don't know who's doing the collecting, but there's probably the witch and Ralph. And
Yep.
all right. So now they're going to collect the rest of the heroes, and the witch has got a bit of a good trick.
Yeah.
It's going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
He's
Who
got the
knows?
spinning rings portal of...
That she borrowed from a
Mystery.
Duran Duran film clip.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which has always been... It's the simplicity of this particular physical effect has always wowed me. Like, have you ever seen one up close? One of these things?
Yeah, it's just two things stuck together with glue.
Yeah, and then the base just... It looks
Yeah.
like they're balancing on one
Yeah,
another
yeah.
and spinning...
Yeah.
But no. And then so he goes into some kind of portal type activity through the rings of mystery
Yes.
to find his first one of his band of champions.
So they're going to need a giant.
Yeah, they need some muscle.
They need some muscle. So the first one they're going to find is this guy. Look how giant he is.
6'7".
He's nearly one head higher than everybody else.
He's
It's
played by
staggering.
Bernard Breslaw, who's 6'7" tall, and was in every one of the Carry On movies.
I thought that.
Yeah.
I thought I recognized
every
the guy.
one of them. He also played the Cyclops in Krull.
Interesting. And anyone who's played D&D or those either pen and paper or computer will recognise this guy as the tank.
Uh-huh.
He's your tank
He's the tank. Yes.
for your party.
Yeah.
And we see that.
He's the tank who pulls aggro.
Yeah, that's right.
And our introduction to him is quite literally one-handed holding up a cart and then putting a wheel on.
And so, yeah, some people are engaging him for his super strength.
Yep.
And I've just got here in my notes, it ends in violence.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, would that shot have been done of him standing on something
No, this
to make
guy's
him look
really
taller?
short.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy here played Jacques Clouseau.
Oh, yeah.
He was in the Pink Panther. He was his
Right.
offsider in one of the movies.
Because I was just wondering, because in some shots he looks quite tall.
This
Then-
guy?
Yeah, and then others he's sort of
Yeah.
normal.
He's big, 6'7". 6'7's a big human, man.
I think he's tall.
6'7's that doorway.
Yeah.
He's possibly also wearing high heels. Maybe. In this shot.
Potentially.
Very manly high heels, though.
Potentially.
And the camera is nice and low. I mean, if that guy on the right is supposed to be extra small person, then the
Yeah.
camera is also...
Maybe the small guy's standing also in a pit.
So he gets
They dug
double
a little
crossed.
hole.
Like he's supposed to
Understand.
change the wheel for the little bloke,
All right, yeah.
and then the little bloke double crosses him, doesn't want to give him
Yeah.
the money. He's
Yeah.
about to schmozzle this guy with a hammer.
This little bloke has an Irish accent, like all the other guys that are filthy backstabbers.
Yes. That's right.
I'll pay you tomato. And just when he's about to smash him, Hawk turns up.
No, there's some soldiers about.
No, he smashes some other people first.
Oh, he smashes all the soldiers.
Yeah,
That's
he
right,
does.
he does too.
Yes.
Then Hawk turns up
Yeah,
and gives him the nod.
that's right. And this so reminds me of Blackadder. Have you seen the Blackadder? You know, where he goes around. It's exactly the same story in
Same
the
forest.
same forest. Yes, and he collects his guy, and they're like, yes. He's like 2 men, 3, 4.
I actually thought the nod was very Australian. You know how we say hi just by nod. So I like that.
Yeah.
Very Australian nod.
Yep.
You can immediately tell, and that's one of the nice things about the films. This is camaraderie. They're mates, and they bond together, and you can immediately see that right at the start. Right?
They even have a little bit of a reminisce here and
I
there.
don't know what's
through the-
going on, but I'll follow you.
Yes.
You nodded. I'll come.
I like it in the cave, actually, when they get back and they're like, I'm not getting any younger, we might as well go for one more battle together,
Yeah.
Very inspirational. All right, so they teleport him zoop, back to the cave, okay? Yep, there he is.
And
Smash.
must happen a lot because he just materializes in the cave and then sits there.
Yes,
and he's not even inside the rings.
No,
So
but look at these two guys. They look like they're in some sort of trance or something or other. So there might be some like magics going on here.
I think it's just the sort of herbs the witch is burning.
She's been ripping a few bombs in there, and it's just like
there was some trivia. She burnt herself really badly by chucking stuff on the fire in this film. She burned her hand.
Oh, did she? The actor.
This chick, she was in Rocky Horror Picture Show. She was.
Who's she?
Which one?
She was the chick that was always sort of hanging on to the guy with the long blonde hair,
Oh, yeah.
the hunchback.
Columbia.
Magenta.
Magenta.
Yeah.
Magenta, yeah.
That's her.
I was doing a little bit of a thought experiment. If you went to the IMDb for all of the actors and added up the amount of other films that they were in, I think it would be quite extraordinarily high.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think because all of the other actors have got these huge bloody lists of filmography things.
Yeah, a lot of English actors there.
Yeah. All right. So they're going to need to collect a little bit more. They're not finished yet.
Yep.
They're going to need Elfie.
Yep.
Crow.
The Bozeman.
Who is a robot.
Who is also a robot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why he gets on so well with Hawk.
And
He's a stoic
and again,
Botox bot.
to be the game geek, he's your typical high DPS,
That's right.
damage per
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
I think he is a very high DPS,
Yes.
actually.
Almost to the point where when I was watching it, I sort of felt bad for the bad guys because he walks into a room at one point and takes out about 40 people in about 8.2 seconds, and then the hero comes in and slashes two, the only two that are left, who were probably suffering flesh wounds from the first guy anyway. I've never seen weaponage like that, ever. It was like Gatling gun speed.
That's because he's an elf.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true. But remember that they also have Ralph as well.
Who has
Who has
Gatling
he's
gun.
a speed crossbow.
Who has a speed crossbow.
A repeating crossbow. For
absolutely.
anyone that enjoys playing Dark Elves, they will recognise that little baby.
Yep.
So the pair of them, they're like, they're the
Well,
this
there's no much
machine gun.
there's no much use for the big guy. The big guy kicks the door in.
Well, like we're saying,
and then
he's-
those two kill everyone, and then the hero sticks his sword into whoever's sort of floundering around
And takes the
on
credit.
top of the
and
fire.
takes the credit. Exactly.
Takes the credit.
Try shooting a machine gun and hitting a different person with every single bullet.
With one
That is
hand.
quite a
One
quite a
hand.
feat.
That's quite a feat. Quite a feat. All right. So what's going on with old Elfie here? He's sitting there being a stoic ninja.
Sharpens his bow or something.
He's
getting
getting,
his
getting
bow.
some
He gets
arrowheads
arrows. He gets
made.
right.
I would
made by the
call
smith,
it
that's right.
enigmatic.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't see the face under the hood.
Yep.
So a little bit of mystery there.
And then, some
He gets challenged.
yes, there's more ruffians.
Yes.
There's an endless supply of ruffians in the forest that day.
I challenge you, sir.
This
Yes.
guy is probably the best actor. The most,
Definitely.
the most.
What else is
the
'cause
most balanced
he's so
actor in the whole
He's
film?
been in
familiar.
two very famous Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He was the guy that owned the theatre in the classic Doctor Who, where the giant rat in the sewers with the Chinese magician. You never
I
seen that
vaguely
one?
remember that.
No.
No, I vaguely remember.
He owned and he was also in the Lighthouse. He was a lighthouseman in another episode. But yes, he's quite famous.
Yeah, you go and check his IMDb, and there'll be thousands of those TV shows, Doctor Who, all of those type of things.
Yep.
So there's going to be some gambling on.
Yep.
You know, it's like this William Tell gambling thing.
Yep.
And
But ultimately, it's a double cross. They're setting up the competition, but ultimately, the offsider is going to stick him with a knife when he turns his back, and they walk away with the money.
which is a little bit odd. Why don't they just stick him with a knife and walk away with the money?
They want their fun.
Oh,
There's
okay.
no
And
TV,
Hawk-
There's the
entertainment.
chivalry,
Yes.
the lore of the brigands
Yeah,
in the
there's entertainment
forest.
to be had.
Yeah.
It's entertainment
somehow.
for him.
And so anyway, Hawk intervenes, and
I think Hawk just arrives because it's Elfie dude who shoots this guy.
Yeah, but
with
they're
the
about
bow.
to have the competition, and Hawk holds the sword up and says, "No."
Oh, that's right,
Which
right,
is a
right.
very Clint Eastwood thing from those old spaghetti westerns, where there's the double cross going on, and then he sort of holds the gun up and says, "No."
He keeps him honest.
Yeah.
He keeps him honest.
So he loses,
Yeah.
and I think he makes the dying statement of, "I didn't even see it.
Yes, something like that.
It was so quick."
So quick.
Yep.
Then the other guy beats him up, beats his dead body up.
That's right.
Because your mouth is always going to be the trouble.
He lost his income now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. He's just lost a job because the other guy was too short-tempered.
So we now have our Bozeman.
Yes. Okay. So again, it ends in violence, and we get Elfie Crow, the bowman.
Who speaks like a robot, as Tom mentioned earlier.
When he does speak. Okay, so we can see them all there. Now we've just got to go and teleport out and get one more dude.
We find these guys. I thought they were funny too.
We were talking about tropes. I don't know if this is a trope.
There's always a crazy religion.
Yeah, there's always
It's
some
a cult.
There's always some priests of some vague religion. The fact that these guys look like Hare Krishnas doesn't, you know.
It's usually the virgin that gets saved that becomes the damsel throughout
I'm
the
sure
story.
those poor virgins.
Yeah.
There's always some weirdos doing some kind of thing.
So can somebody explain the ritual that they're actually engaging in? The sacred ritual that they're doing?
There's a midget on a raft in a river, and these guys are firing fiery bows, fiery arrows,
Dwarf bashing.
and missing quite a lot.
They entertain themselves by dwarf bashing.
In the theory is that they must pay homage to the Almighty by sacrificing the.
Yeah, because his ashes will join
That's right.
the river and blah,
Great
blah.
honour.
Yes.
Wee little bows.
Yes. A classic in sword and sorcery, this trope. I'd like to see it repeated more and more. You can imagine Lord of the Rings with Gimli strapped to a thing and the orcs are doing pachoo, pachoo.
We'll get you eventually.
Yeah, we'll get you eventually.
So
All
Hawk saves the day.
Okay.
Oh, and we see. Oh no, we there yet? The most badass use of a whip for fishing.
Fishing whips.
Fishing
We've
with
got-
a whip?
Right.
Yes.
He's got a fish whip. That's
That's a
right.
bit of a classic, that
Which I
one.
don't know whether he uses the whip again.
Yeah,
He does. Yeah.
Combat.
Ah,
That's
yes.
his weapon.
That's right.
Does he?
When they
Yeah.
take out the slavers,
Yeah.
I think he
Maybe.
cracks
No, he
the
does.
whip a
He
little
does.
bit.
He does
Oh,
some
yeah.
whip cracking.
Yeah. All right, so they've rescued the dwarf, and it ends in only a little bit of violence this time, which is poor fish gets it in the
He
end.
has really big nostrils.
Saw that. And
Go
some sort of
back.
gold nugget in that one.
That's what dwarves keep their money. Go back. Who is this guy?
Yeah, he's quite famous. I don't know whether he's listed in IMDb, but I've definitely seen him in stuff.
He is in, oh God, Stanley Kubrick, Clockwork Orange.
Ah, yeah.
He's the guy who gets beaten up in Clockwork Orange.
Ah,
I think he's the author guy who gets beaten up in. Yeah.
right.
Anyway.
Peter Benson. Is he the Black Wizard?
No.
Well, he's white.
He's all
No,
in
Black
white.
Wizard is what person that lasers the Voltan's eye, isn't it?
Oh, maybe. I suppose so, yeah.
Brother
The dark one and the black wizard sound like a pair. All right, so our super team has now formed up.
Yes.
And then we just start to move into the next bit of the story, which is a really odd story beat that they stick in the middle here.
That's right.
Now,
And this sets up the ultimate vengeance, because not only has the Dark One killed the dad, what can only be prior to killing the dad,
I'd say so.
he kills... Yeah, it has to be, because he's got two eyes in
Yeah.
this shot, and when the Dark One kills the dad, he's got one eye.
That's true.
So therefore, the first instance that he hates the brother is the girlfriend gets it.
yes. Okay, so we have this montage again where with this continuing feud with his girlfriend. Now, what happens here? What happens in this scene for some reason?
He's tied up to a tree. Another guy tied up to a tree with a bolt.
And shooting his brother with
Yep.
arrows.
Yep.
Like, as you do, as brothers do.
Yeah.
You know, they're just having a bit of fun.
Yeah,
Just having a bit of fun. And I think it's the girlfriend who just takes it a little bit too far.
that's right.
And she stabs.
Escalates it.
She escalates it. Stabs.
He blinds him with a cross
But
first. He
that's
gets blinded with a cross, which they repeat later
That's
on.
right.
in
Yeah,
the,
the
in
light
in the end.
bouncing off the cross binds him temporarily, so she can hit him in the face with a burning log.
it's
right.
a light of goodness, temporarily.
Blinded. Oh yeah. Yes.
Oh, right.
The narrative.
Which he
narrative
uses
trigger.
as that cross later on. He wears it
Yeah,
later
that's
on,
right.
of course.
And he uses to blind him again later on.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
The-
then stab him. He has a secret knife.
There's the secret knife inside there. It's also a sword.
I do like the idea that it was just innocent fun and games until she caused all the trouble,
That's right.
hit him in the face, and
That's right.
She
caused him
paid
to
for
go
it.
blind.
She paid. She got what she deserved.
Yes, and it was all balanced out because he then shot her in the back with a crossbow.
That's right.
And she died. Okay, so whilst
harsh.
our hero... Oh, there it is. Shot her in the back. And if you go and watch the shot, as she collapses...
And the expression on Hawk's face when his wife is dying on him.
He acts as much as the Botox will allow.
Yes.
Yes, he's doing his best under there somewhere. All right, so
they've reached the abyss.
Yeah. So they go back and tell the nun all their plans.
Yep.
All right, and then what? There's still something outstanding. So we've got the team together, but the super nun is still being held by the bad guys.
That's right, yeah.
Mother Superior, the superior nun, the greater nun, and they're still going to need 2,000 gold coins.
They need the wads, and so they come up with a plan
They come up with a cunning plan.
to go and rob some money,
So they're going to go
knowing
and
the
rob some
whole
people.
time that the money is not going to mean anything. Remember?
Why?
Well, remember
Because
he
Volton's
says.
going to kill anyone anyway.
First
They were
he
not
says
going to
we're
give it
going to
to
go get the money, and then when it comes back with the money, he says we don't really, he's going to
True.
kill her anyway.
True.
So that made me think, well, did we need to go and slaughter all those people?
The thing is, Volton
Yes, Hawk the Slayer.
Volton
Okay.
won't turn up unless he's there.
He
to pick
smells
up
the money. He
money.
needs to smell the gold.
Yes,
Well, they could've
yes.
just got
The
a
elf
box.
can hear people and Voltan can.
That's true.
It's like the
that's
giant.
true.
Smell the gold.
The only
of
time
an
the box
Englishman.
gets opened is once everyone's dead. But yes, they decide, and it's an opportunity for us, the audience, to see all the heroes come together and
do what they do best.
and do what they do best.
So, what was the most outstanding feature? They have to go and they have to rob the slavers, rip off the slavers. And what was the most clearly outstanding feature?
I actually thought it was interesting to see white guys as slaves for once.
For me, the most outstanding feature was the disgusting pig that was screaming with the mouthful of
Food.
and it was a really uncomfortable 2 seconds of film I didn't enjoy.
For me, the most outstanding feature was a bunch of clean, naked men strapped to a rope.
extremely white, lily white, pommy guys.
Completely
Well
clean,
shaved.
very cold men.
But they're for sale. You have to polish up your wares.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. it's
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
cool,
yeah. I suppose so. They might have. Yes. Anyway, so yes, Hawk the Slayer arrives, sticks his very sharp sword into the stinky ground again.
Says, I'm going to take your money, and the bad guy says, well, over my dead body,
That can be arranged.
I can oblige you with that.
And they kill everybody.
Yep.
But notice in the narrative they're slavers, so it's good versus evil. We're not supposed to care the fact they've been
Absolutely.
slaughtered.
Absolutely. Even to the point where we're not supposed to care that this guy gets pegged out on the ground with a rope
With his
over a
mallet.
tree with
With
his
his,
big mallet thing, and he has to hold it up with
Morning
his
Star,
teeth.
yeah.
Yeah, which I thought they would ride away, and we would just hear, in the distance, we would hear, but we were up close and personal when he decided to let it go.
But at least our heroes didn't kill him because that would have been murder.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
They just, left him, had nothing to do with it.
Up to
And
his
then-
fate.
Yes, and just left him up to his fate.
As one of them points out, one of the slaves may return.
That's right.
Free him.
Anyway, the mallet falls on his face and crushes his skull, and so he's dead. And then, okay, what I think we forgot to highlight here is the machine gun violence of those bows.
Yeah. Crazy
Firing at a bloody 100 million miles per second.
speed. Like Uzi speed.
Yes, it's a very one-sided.
I put it down to two things. One, they wanted to do the quick draw Western thing, but they also wanted to use this really cool effect that they came up with.
This fantastic effect that Georges Méliès invented, yes.
The cut, literally cut film looping.
Yeah. Staccato.
And which the elf uses as well for his. They use the same effect for his stuff as well.
Yes, they got so excited about it, they're like, why don't we put this on the crossbow dude as well?
Yeah.
That'd
And
be
it was that-
doubly as cool.
It's that sample thing we talked about previously in another show where you've got the sound effect queued up and you just hit the key.
Yeah. All right then. So that ends, and they go back to the nunnery.
Well, we have to do a little segue into the Dark One's tent where he's starting to talk. This is where we get introduced, I guess, properly to the sun.
Okay, now we have to get his name correct, of course.
But Dan,
Dro-
you do it. You do it. Come on. You can do it. What's his name?
His name is Drongo.
Yes.
That's close
Well
enough. That's close enough.
No, his name is Drogo, son of Voltan. Anyway.
And as we discover later, not blood. So
No.
he was.
No.
Yes, that's right.
He had to be
Because-
adopted.
Yes, because he's too ugly. No woman would sleep with Voltan.
So, how old is Drongo? And was he adopted as an infant? Have 30 years passed since the marriage was annulled by being shot in the back?
Yeah.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I imagine that he was adopted as an infant and then beaten every day
And before he
to make sure he was evil.
got adopted, Voltan would have had many
Failed attempts.
Failed attempts because no woman in the world would love a man who's got one eye.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's
So
established.
40 years might have passed.
It's definitely established that the Dark One likes to chuck him around a bit, and
Yeah.
all he wants to do is impress the old boy,
Or kill his father.
or kill him.
Yeah, one of the two. So, what does Drongo then do?
Decides to take matters into his own hands,
Yes.
and he's going to not only get the money, because I think he gets word that the slavers have been robbed
That's right.
by the mysterious guy with the fish sword. I'm going to get the money, and I'm going to get the nemesis of Daddy-O.
And get the glory.
Yeah.
Okay, so he puts that plan into action. So here he is here. Yeah, he's finds some random, because there's plenty of people wandering around the forest. It's a very, very, very small
That's
forest.
One of the buyers that was at the slave thing.
That's
Oh,
right,
is
he
it?
was too.
One of
Yeah,
the
he was a
buyers?
witness to the theft, which can only be deemed as straight out robbery of $2,000 by some people that were just doing their own thing.
At least they didn't murder the guy at the end. He opened his mouth,
You're right.
and his face got crushed in.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah, nothing to do with us. All right,
So that's how he gets wind of the $2,000, and he's going after it.
All right, so he then works out he's got to go back to the nunnery. Hawk is going to be, because he's chilling at the nunnery, you know. So he goes there, kicks in the door, and then what happens?
He gets left mortally wounded.
Well, he goes there with all his mates.
He goes
He's
with all
with
his
his
mates, which of course is beautiful for our band of heroes who love nothing more than to kill a bit more, because it has been probably half an hour since they last killed
That's right.
a whole bunch of people.
Yes. No wonder that elf dude was buying arrowheads. He goes through them like fucking nobody's
He
business.
just leaves them behind too. He wasted one arrow somewhere time in the film. Oh yeah, the first kill that he does, the guy that they wanted to double cross him, puts an arrow in the guy and then they just walk off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brand new,
Yeah.
perfectly new fletched arrow with beautiful new arrowhead. Just that's sticking there.
Yes. All right, so they machine gun all of those guys to death, but Drongo somehow makes it out partially alive, staggers back to his dad.
Gets carried by two people who are
Gets
still
carried
there.
by some people.
Gets carried by some people because they are important a little bit, somewhat.
Oh, true.
important.
That's right.
So, and he then tells his dad that Hawk the Slayer is back at the nunnery
And expires.
and dies. So, you know,
And then Jack Palance can act.
then yes,
Sorrowful?
it will require, and that's where he goes, no, you know, a Darth Vader, no, my son. There he is doing it, no, in his face, in your face.
And he strikes a pose after that. I hope you have a photo of this beautiful pose that he stands there. Yes. Yeah.
Just talk
A
straight to
broken
camera.
man.
So you two bastards
Yeah.
who are also alive, and my son is not, can fight each other.
That's right.
No, fight him. Fight.
I thought they
No,
were told to fight each other.
Fight him. No, they were going to.
Oh, okay,
fight him.
yep.
Yeah. Because he's an honorable bad guy, and he insists that they have weapons.
And so, yes. Some acting. Do some acting there.
Look at that eyeball.
Yes. That's why they had to cover that other eyeball, because it would just be too
Two
much.
of those,
Yeah.
it's too much.
Yeah, it would just be overload. All right, so, oh, shit. God fucking damn it. He gets a dagger in the sternum. So the two guys that were with him, they pay the price, and this guy turns into a bit of a coward, tries to put down his sword.
Drops a sword and bolts.
That ain't going to help you.
Yeah, that didn't help. No,
And
it's dead.
then I thought he put on a rather beautiful funeral for his son. Big
bonfire.
pyre.
Yeah.
Throw a few of his extra, a few of his mates onto the fire as well.
He did say his son should have two loyal hounds.
Yeah.
Go with him. There's your two loyal hounds. Two guys that he kills.
And what I sort of thought was, because some of our other brave heroes are going to die as well in the movie, right?
We don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet, but
Yes, we do watch the film.
I don't.
But they're
think,
starting.
I don't think they get such a good funeral as what old Drongo got.
No. That's
Well,
right.
I suppose the funeral plan in his army was better than the one in their army.
That's right.
And
That's
it
right.
really surprised me that in the film where the story is based on, there apparently was a prequel, there previous stories, these are old mates that are getting together again, right?
Mm-hmm.
A film that is designed to have a sequel,
Mm-hmm.
and they kill more than half the crew.
And I've got another question for the end, for the one that survives, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why? That one. Anyway, we'll get there. Okay. So what happens next?
Well, they're starting to worry a little bit back at the
Yeah.
Abbey.
That's right. They go back to the Abbey, and they hang out.
Yep. The elf is starting to stress a bit.
Yep, and you can see how stressed Hawk is there.
Yep.
He's stabbed his sharp sword into a
Another
stone floor again. That's how distressed he is. And so the Dark One, Voltan, turns up with an ultimatum.
Yep.
And he says, I'm going to get you guys tomorrow.
Yep.
Do it tomorrow.
Yep.
Which actually has echoes of Seven Samurai.
Absolutely. And Magnificent Seven as well.
Oh, that's why they all have to die at the end.
Yes,
Of course.
yes,
Of course,
yes. And also they do the thing where they're coming tomorrow, so we all have to prepare. All right then. So,
Flashback.
oh yes, we got more flashbacks. Yes, there's his beautiful wife with a arrow in her back.
What was the point of this flashback? What did we learn in this flashback?
I don't know.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Oh, maybe it's just that we just had to see her die
In his
That would've-
arms
Yeah.
while he's
Well,
conscious.
she could have done that on the boat.
Yeah, I-
Poor guy has to lug her out of the boat back to shore.
Yeah.
She could have just expired there and
Would have
selfish,
saved
very
us.
selfish.
Okay then. So what happens here is actually kind of interesting because this conversation right here now, Hawk is being here very stoic and very still as is his wont. And what does old giant down there suggest?
Gort.
Gort. When
He
you're
says,
being
let's
attacked.
let's go there and beat them up.
That's right,
Yeah.
because
Take it to them.
Hawk, because Hawk is a little bit of a wuss. He says, there's too many of them. There's so many of them. We can't win. And Gort says, well,
I got this story about some wasps.
yes. You know what you do when there's lots of wasps? You go to the nest. So they're going to go to the nest. But first they're going to need some magic stuff.
Yes.
So they send the elf to run across
Send for the
space
witch.
and time. And he comes back with the witch. Okay, so now we're all together.
That's a great group shot, that one.
Yeah.
Yes, and I collect... What happens in this shot?
They run the film backwards.
What?
And the
More George Millier.
I mean, sorry, wait, no. The elf
la
uses some
Bionic
kind
Man.
of superpower and springs up 35 feet into a tree.
Into a tree, whilst everybody stands very still in the foreground.
It's the hero shot.
He's an elf.
Elves can
The only
do
thing
that.
missing was that $6 million man.
All right, then. So, now they're going to attack the base, the enemy's base, the bad guy's base.
She uses the what are these things again?
These are elf eggs. I thought there was only bloody one elf egg.
No, they're rainbow eggs.
She's
These
got
go
a
in all
couple.
colors.
Oh, okay.
These go,
and
They
they
look like elf.
before she drops them. They go through
That's right.
eight different permutations.
I thought the fireworks came out of the eggs.
Well, it was smoke. These were smoke eggs, weren't
Smoke bombs or something like that.
Oh, just stinky eggs.
Were they?
Yeah,
That
they
were
made the fog.
They made the smoke.
They make the fog, and they had to cancel the slaughter because the
Which
fog was
Dan's
thinning.
captured here.
Yes, so you can see in this shot. This is a lot of battles in this thing take place inside smoke, fog, slow motion inside fog, rapid jump cuts inside fog.
You can't, when that's the scene you got to work with, where there's no sky and no leaves on any trees, then that's pretty much all you get.
Yeah, it is Pinewood Studios.
That's it.
So
In the middle of winter, you can tell.
In
how-
England, yeah.
All right, so
This is England. It could be summer.
you can see that there's
Well,
yes.
or not see.
Yeah, you can not see that there's a
Something
fight
went on.
going on.
Something went on in there.
Yeah,
There was a lot of screaming and
I would assume English people from England can probably see through the fog. It's those of
You
us
might be right.
who live outside.
No, it's not that they can't see through the fog, but when there's no fog, they're like dazzled and they're like, the light. So there it is. Yes, dark shapes.
And
Yes,
that's all
jump
we
cuts. Yeah, exactly.
800 people get taken out.
Okay, so oh, look at that. That was dangerous. Guy fell in a campfire. You could get hurt doing that. All right, so what's the trigger for them to actually leave?
The fog is thinning. The magic is
fog
wearing
is
off.
thinning. That's right. Yes. And of course, it wasn't for any other reason like the fight scenes might look a bit derpy if there's not fog everywhere. But that being aside, they then use those hit and fade tactics and then steal away. Now, what was the actual outcome?
You've got to get the abbess.
They saw the abbess,
Yeah.
but they didn't get her.
No, that's right.
They didn't get her.
Because he was holding her
In a
at knife-
cage.
at knife point.
He's got a kind of a nun zoo happening here.
Yep.
It's the first exhibit.
Fresh straw. He must be cleaning that out daily for her. That's good. He looks after her.
Yes, it's good treatment.
Well, I think her station, warrants fresh straw. She's that abbess. She's just any old nun.
She's
That's
Mother
right.
Superior.
Yeah.
She needs superior straw. All right, so in the end, he just does some stoic staring. It's like, I will stare that guy down. Yes, cop a load of this, buddy. Yes, all right, so he stares at him. Look at this guy acting his head off next to him. All right, and then what happens? They all go back to the nunnery for some reason.
Lick their wounds. They have a few wounds. The nuns get to look after someone.
And we get to see some more banter between the dwarf and the giant about this ongoing.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good fun banter that they had going on.
And we
between them.
also get to meet the
feisty nun.
the feisty nun that is not happy with the plan.
No.
Well, she's not really the feisty nun. She's the weak-willed,
Yeah.
lily-livered, knee-knocking...
She's the anxious nun.
Yeah.
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 The angst nun.
Your plan is not good. It won't work. We must pay. We must pay the ransom.
She's the black hat of
Yes.
the operation.
Yeah. So she gets it in her head that she's going to go and see Voltan.
She's a traitor.
She is a traitor.
It's a double cross.
Yeah.
From inside the nunnery, no less.
Yeah.
It's shocking. Anyway, then she turns up. She's going to cut a deal. Right.
The abbess says, "What are you doing? What are you doing, you crazy woman?"
Yeah. She's saying, "Yeah, don't worry. I got this. I've been living in a nunnery all my life. I know how to broker deals with military leaders.
Yep.
Yeah, I got this."
Hey, it's worked for Donald Trump. It can work for her.
Yeah, that's right.
The elf's having second thoughts. Meanwhile, back at the abbey, the elf is...
Oh, we learned. This is the scene where we learned that he's the last of their kind.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
At some raising the stakes.
Yes.
You have to raise the stakes at this part,
because
of the movie.
because he can hear the call of his people, and sometimes he wants to go join them.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be joining them soon. All right. So
Oh, that's
There's not,
space barring away.
that's probably 3 minutes of dialogue there.
No, that's true. There's that, and there's multiple scenes going on there. That's what I'm that's why I'm pressing the space button there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Trader Nun. Now, what happens next? Trader Nun.
They all go to sleep, and the giant is guarding.
Oh, that's right. The giant's
guarding the
guarding.
room, and Trader Nun offers a beverage.
That's right.
yes,
and
a
we've
beer to warm him up.
But we have
Right.
skipped
It is
over.
England.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, warm beer, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
We have skipped over an important moment because we've had two incidents where the dwarf has outsmarted the giant and outsmarted him out of food.
That's right.
But just on the eve of battle, the dwarf decides to share his food.
The giant.
Evenly with the
They
giant.
break bread together. And
Yeah.
there's
That's
that
right.
camaraderie again.
Yes.
That's
Their blood is thicker than bread is thicker than water.
That's
as
right.
They say. Yes. So you see, look at that nun up to that evil business, and then this guy drinks the beer. Have I got a shot of him? Oh my God! And then he passes out.
He severely injured himself, this actor, in that when he fell against a wall, and this was all metal.
Yeah.
Jammed up into his neck, and he did something to his neck or something, but he was in hospital for.
Oh, really?
Jeez.
Yeah.
So for the fight, which presumably was filmed afterwards?
No, that
Was he-
scene when he falls against the wall.
But the fight happens
But
after.
do we see... I mean, did
Yes.
he go to hospital right away, or was he a trooper
I'd
and
imagine.
finished the movie first?
Yeah, I think I read somewhere too that they shot this out of sequence. That the whole film was all shot out of sequence, like it wasn't shot linear, shot to shot, which at the time I think was fairly original. Like they didn't do too many films like that.
All right. So what happens next? I think is Voltron.
Well, they let the Hawk wakes up to find the room full of people they didn't kill when they went to kill all the bad guys. The room is still full of henchmen.
Right. So Voltran is at the gates.
So Voltron needs the money. He needs to feed 100 minions.
Yeah, could be.
And don't you hate that? You go to sleep drunk, you wake up, there's an arch
Sword to
villain.
the throat.
Yep.
We put the bar
Mates
on the
tied
door.
to poles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a giant standing next to the door. God.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so yes, the nun has let them in, but that nun, she's probably going to pay for that with her life, and that's the shot there where she.
Because
she
if it's
gets a
one
little-
thing the Dark One doesn't like, it's
enemy
lack of
traitors
loyalty.
helping him.
yes,
Yes,
treacherous
that's
lack of loyalty.
Yes. You remember these guys? They have this code of conduct.
That's
this
right.
Weird code of
Traitors
conduct.
never prosper.
That's it.
That's right.
Comeuppance.
All right, so the Voltran wants the gold, right? And he wants to torture them all to tell him where the gold is. And then the dwarf decides to kick him in the nuts.
In the face, actually.
No, I thought the nuts were
I
better.
thought-
Ah, that's right. It is the face because he has to go and get the crystal treatment because of the pain to the face.
You're probably right. It was the face.
And he hisses like a cat. Which I thought was very good acting from Jack Palance. It showed his range.
Yeah. And I think even Hawkeye, good old Hawkeye, gets a bit of acting happening actually
It's
in
around
this
this
scene.
time that he gets his moment.
Oh yeah. The Botox the pressure behind the Botox breaks and his face erupts into a
Emotion.
emotional, moving thing.
Here's one of these scenes where really the focus of the acting is on the
Yeah.
left eyeball area,
Yeah, that's all you can see.
and the dwarf gets it, stabbage to the body.
Yep. So the dwarfs, yeah.
But
in
as he
trouble.
says, he's happy to die amongst friends.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I think have I got a shot here? Yeah, it comes up a little bit, and the dwarf gets it. Yeah. Right. So. Oh, there we go.
There's an act.
I don't know if I caught it properly
It stands out.
because the acting only happened for a second.
Yeah.
There was only a second worth, but it was intense. It did go up to about 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hawk got angry.
And then the crazy string.
The silly string.
The witch turns up
Yep.
and through a slit in the door unleashes the crazy string. Is that on? Who is this again? Is this not the Dark One?
That's just
No,
random.
just
no,
random
no,
guy.
random guy. So
This
he's
was-
guarding the guy, guarding all the good guys.
And then she
right?
kicks the door in and then sends in the light orbs of death.
laser ray,
Little
smoke.
Dot.
She's also
ball,
got those party poppers. I'm
That's
sure
right.
those pichoo, which are that little things.
and now they're all dead.
Yeah, this was the moment
Look
when
at
my...
the guy over there. He's going to stand there the whole time. The crazy string.
yeah, it's solidified. It's like the aliens
Yeah.
thing covered in the goop.
This was the
and-
moment when my wife lost all credibility in the film. Well, she could take everything else, but when they used silly string,
Yeah.
that was
That's what I thought too.
one step too far for her.
But in 1980, like it could have been like not a mainstream thing. It might have been out like awesome.
Well, it's yeah,
But now it's toddlers use it.
yes.
Well, you could buy just prior to this film Spider-Man silly
that's
string
right.
because I wanted it badly.
That's right. I remember those.
So yeah, some sort of fight ensues. Ralph, good old Ralph, great character in the movie. Kind of gets a dagger in the back.
One on Bob. When does he get? Is he in this fight?
You missed it. He doesn't get a pyre or a burning thing at the end. You know, it's just like dagger. He's dead. Yeah, no, it's like smokers. He's dead. Yes.
He was.
Yeah, he was.
He struggled throughout the
He-
film.
he
Used
did,
up
he
his
did.
9 lives during the film.
He gave it a good shot. He gave it a good try. So he got to, and also, the elf is kind of dead in there somewhere as well. Mm-hmm. And can you remember when the elf got killed?
No.
No, nobody can.
He wasn't dead. He was still moving.
He was groaning
He was groaning.
and then died. He only dies
He
when
did die?
Hawk.
What, Hawk put him out of his misery?
I
Can't remember.
Exactly, you can't remember. Exactly, it's just Ralph and the elf. Yeah, they're dead.
I don't think they show how he dies.
That's right.
It's just the aftermath of the battle, and he's leaning up against a column groaning.
Yeah,
Which is
I believe.
crazy.
Yeah, it's just like
That's crazy.
I mean, old Drongo, he got
Yeah.
all of that thing. He got the
Yeah.
battle at the end between they got the pyre. It's a travesty.
It is a travesty.
Yeah. All right, so they're all dead. The dwarf did get a bubble.
He gets
though.
a bubble.
He
That's
gets
right.
a bubble.
He gets a good burial.
He gets a force field put over him for some reason.
So that means at this point the others are not dead yet because they just bury him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The others, oh, there they are. Yeah, still
No, it's a bit
standing.
out of sequence
Yeah.
for some reason. All right, so you'd think that that's the end, but it's not the end because whilst they've all been getting killed and then the nun's gone outside and Hawk's gone out to bloody get the nun, and it turns out that Voltran has done a switcheroo and now he's back in the abbey and he's got all of the nuns tied up and he's got everybody.
That's where they all die.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's where they all die, right?
That's where the glowy poof balls come in.
And so look at that, laser beams, man.
That's right. Yeah.
Magic laser beams. And then there's going to be the final showdown between Voltran and Hawk, the Slayer. And this is going to be in slow motion.
Actually, also, the main fight happens with snow, so they obscure that as well.
I know, yeah, that's what yes, you're right. It's not just smoke, it's just snow going on.
That's right. So there's basically this little battle takes everyone out except for
Hawk.
Hawk
And the giant.
and the Dark One.
And the giant.
And,
is
well,
alive.
the giant's also still alive.
He gets
but-
taken out, but not killed.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets quite conked on the head and he's like, oh, and falls over. So then there's going to be the final battle. Now remember that Voltran disarms Hawk and
Seems
says,
to be a lot of similarity to the fog.
Exactly.
Earlier.
it's a whole
yes,
obscure.
that's why I say these main battle sequences take place in all of this.
You can't make anything
No,
out of it all.
exactly.
Plus, the editing didn't help either.
Yeah.
Where was I? Voltran.
D weaponizes him.
That's right. He drops his weapon.
Yeah.
But we know it's the mind sword.
And it could, yes.
And so he can
Summon
run
it.
the tape backwards and cause it to appear in his hand.
He can chuck it and then run the tape backwards. And the Dark One doesn't aware that he has the power.
That's right.
When did Empire Strikes Back come out?
82.
So that's after this.
So this is before Luke Skywalker's thing with the lightsaber.
They must have copied this.
Wow.
Must have.
Oh, the...
Yeah.
Where he uses his Jedi
Yeah.
mind trick to bring
Oh,
the
I have
sword.
no doubt Lucas
1980.
looked
Empire
at
Strikes
this
Back
for
was the same year.
inspiration, this film.
Oh, it's the same year.
1980. Yeah, no, it's Jedi, I think, was 82 or something. Empire is 1980.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Imagine being this
Jedi
movie.
was 82. Must have been 82 Jedi.
This movie
It
up
was-
against Empire. But anyway, okay, so, and then there's some sword, ching, 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 ching. See, there's a dead elf.
That's right.
You know, it just turns out smoke clears and he's dead. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then there's a fight between the heroes. Remember, there's old
That's
Gord
right,
over
he's got
there,
the-
still,
That's right.
you know.
Yep. He
So when did Gord get tied up? Was
At the
Hawk
end of the big.
I got a
Was
feeling
Hawk
Hawk got rescued.
unconscious for a while?
Gord got conked on the
Yeah.
head and he got knocked out.
Yes.
Then Hawk had left the abbey.
Why?
Because the high abbess had gone outside for some reason.
Have a smoke.
Have a smoke. Yes, she'd gone outside to have a smoke.
Okay.
I can't remember that bit.
No. He definitely goes outside.
Yeah,
and then when he comes back in, he's got control of the abbey and he's got all of the nuns tied up and he's got old Gord tied up as well.
Oh, okay.
Now, why did he go out?
Yeah. Why wasn't he there?
Why was who
I
with?
don't remember.
So why does the hero
No, I
leave
can't
the
remember
battlefield?
why
The nun. I know that Mother Superior is outside the abbey for some reason. I can't remember what the reason is, but Hawk goes outside and ching 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 and rescues the Mother Superior.
Does he go back to the camp to rescue her? Is that what he
might.
does after the battle?
The Mother Superior.
Yeah.
No, she's just like outside the front door.
I'm
maybe
not
you're
going
right,
to watch
I
it
don't know.
again, so I'm just going to have to take
Well,
your
okay,
word
maybe
for it.
my memory's playing tricks on me. Anyway, let's wrap up the
Yep.
story because we're
Yep.
almost there. He gets the sword back in his hand.
That's right.
That's actually when he's losing the sword, but then he has this fight. So if you just skip ahead a few, there we are.
Glance.
Doing some
A
acting.
glance.
He's got to remove his vestments as well.
right.
Damn it.
And then
Voltan gives him a moment to pray before he kills him.
Yeah.
and gets flashed in the face with the cross,
Yes.
which causes an immediate flashback in his
Other
in
eye.
his own eye, in his own mind.
A bit of
There it is there.
There it is.
Nah, tricks.
PTSD there.
Yep.
Yep. There we go. Yeah. Ching! Right in the face. And then there's going
I
to be
think
some...
he's when he's kneeling down. When Hawk is kneeling down, he's got a knife.
No, it's the cross.
The cross.
No, because he chucks a knife to free the giant.
So when's he
Hits the rope.
So when's he use the knife from the cross?
there's a knife in the cross.
Is there a knife in the cross?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Maybe that's what he chucks to
Chucks,
free
yeah.
the giant. So the giant is now free here, and he punches out the guy, and the main battle ensues between the two brothers.
Yep. Here we go. Yes, Jedi mind powers happening there. Exactly.
Also,
There we go. Oh, acting!
Which is important to the narrative because the secret to the mind sword that was denied
At the start of the
Voltan
the dark one.
is what allows
Yes.
Hawk to kill him
Yes.
later on.
Which is the ultimate slap in the face to the bad
Yeah.
guy, is that the power that he sought in the first act of the film.
It's the narrative
is the power that
teabagging.
killed. Yes, absolutely. I like that. I like that phrase. That's a chapter in your book.
Yeah, it's a chapter in the book.
So, is he dead?
He tries to throw another dagger at him because that's his only trick that he's actually got, is chucking daggers at people.
Now we hit slow-mo, right?
Yes, it all goes into
And
slow-mo.
we're talking.
Remember, all the fight
This
scenes
is
have to be
45 seconds of slow-mo, which, if you probably sped it up to normal speed, is an 8-second fight.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes. One swish, swish.
About 4 or 5 swishes.
Yeah.
Mind you, there's a lot of the Hawk just standing around waiting for Jack Palance to turn around.
Yeah.
He's a little old and he's a little slow. So. And remember, they've got their codes of chivalry. So.
The 80s synth and drum machine is
Oh,
going
yeah.
nuts at this
Yeah,
point.
the music's
Oh, we
friggin'
haven't
awesome.
even mentioned the music.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
we
film.
haven't.
Oh
Yeah.
dear, no.
Yeah.
How
Right.
fitting was that choice of synthesizer music for this film movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It
It was
took me out.
perfect.
Took me out several times.
I think they blew up several synthesizers.
Oh, yeah.
Because they worked them hard in this film.
Absolutely.
All right, so they're going to fight to the death.
It's all slow-mo.
And it's all in slow motion. And eventually, when Jack Palance eventually gets his shit together, yes, he gets a good chop in the stomach.
And throughout the entire film, we do not see a drop of blood.
Not a drop.
That's true.
See, if this was Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
we'd see Jack Palance's entrails
Spill out.
spill out and wetly land on the stone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he tries to gather them and put them back in.
All right, then. So, with that, he's still acting.
still
Even-
dying.
He's dead, but he's still acting. You know, you just can't keep a good actor down. All right, so let's kind of wrap this up.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to
Because we're getting bored.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
trying to remember it.
It's a bit like Lord of the Return of the King, where you have to have 20 end wrap up. So the giant lives for some reason. I don't know why they chose the giant.
Because he signed on for the potential show.
Yeah. Probably.
And he lives in the forest, so he's got a tent just down the thing, so they can just call him up again. I
I'm
don't
with
know.
you, though. I couldn't quite work out why you would wipe everyone out and just leave one guy, and why that guy.
Yes, why not the dwarf or why not the
I thought it
elf?
should have been the one-armed guy. Like, you
Well,
just can't kill him.
Yeah, he was certainly giving it a good try. All right, the Dark One turns out, the Emperor, the Dark Emperor Devil
Yes.
goes and collects
In
him.
the Red Cave.
Yes, because
The spirit of the Dark Emperor floats through a wall,
yes,
picks up his body,
and
floats back out through the wall.
with
says
his
he's
body
not
somehow.
The
Finished with
body?
him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that totally left it open for the sequel. So the sequel, we were supposed to see the Dark One return.
And it even says, we're going to need you for later. So maybe, I'd like to see him come back as a zombie, actually. Can you imagine zombie Jack Palance as the leader of the second movie? I think that'd be awesome. So they go and visit the abbot, and they give all the cash to the abbot for some reason. And then they sort of think about going different ways, and the witch says that the wizards are gathering in the south,
Yes.
and they think, yeah, fuck it, let's go south.
That intrigues me. I shall go south also.
Yes.
Roll credits.
Yeah, job done.
Do they go together? Does the giant and...
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
changes
Yep.
his mind and
Because he even says, because
Yeah.
he was planning on guarding some fat baron, and he says wizards will be a lot more interesting than
That's right.
guarding some fat baron.
And then after they gallop off, the witch has the last line, and her last line is, "We shall meet again, bearer of the Mind Sword."
That's right.
So we have the Wizards of the South for the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
We have Zombie Jack Palance. We've got Gort and the Wizard, at least. And the Witch, I mean.
Gort and Hawk. Oh, yeah.
Hawk
Yeah.
as well.
Yep.
There's plenty of stuff there.
Yeah. If I was a betting man, I'm going to say that this is not going to be a sequel.
I'd say there'll be a reboot before there's a sequel.
That's what I think.
A big Hollywood reboot, AAA production.
So the genre itself has sort of fallen away over the years, hasn't it? The swords and sorcerers.
Well,
There's
I mean,
been a
it's,
couple of attempts.
it's had a comeback on TV. I mean, we had Lord of the Rings.
yeah.
But then it's moved on to TV as King Arthur has discovered,
Yeah.
painfully,
Yeah.
that it does better on TV now,
Yeah.
and that's maybe where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, gentlemen, do we want to buy, rent, or set fire to this film? Tom,
oh, neither.
you don't want to
Sorry.
do any of those things.
I'm not gonna buy it. I wouldn't rent it. I wouldn't set fire to it. It's not that bad. It's a fun little movie. It's simple. It's fun in its simplicity.
I would
It's
rent
amusing. It's amusing. But
it. Yeah.
if I had the choice between those three, I'd rather rent it than burn it.
Yeah.
No, it's not a bad.
So we're renting.
You're renting as well.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, because I watched it twice, the first time I watched it, I thought it was awful. Like, very, very bad movie. Very, very bad movie. And then I started reading how other people really loved it, and that kind of rubbed off on me a little bit.
Yeah.
And the
certainly has
second
a
time,
charm. It has
yeah,
a
the
charm.
second time I watched it, I actually enjoyed it a lot more. So yeah, what were you guys, rent?
I was rent.
Yeah, I'm kind of
I
renting.
think if I was
Yeah.
in Rick's shoes and this was me as a teenager loving it, I would definitely buy it because there's some shit movies out there that I love.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I just recently bought this off Amazon. So
And I mean, there was some.
I've put my money where my mouth is,
It's those.
and I also own it on VHS.
Wow.
Oh, really? You don't have
Should
a
frame that.
VHS player.
No,
Yeah,
Got the
yeah,
tapes.
yeah.
It was simple to know who was who. It would have been easy to watch as a young kid and really make sense.
It's a
of
kids'
it.
movie, really.
It is a
isn't
kids'
it?
movie.
Yeah.
I mean the reason I love it still now, and the reason I was crazy over it is it was like one of our games that we played come to life.
Yeah.
We'd never seen it. Our games, it had all the tropes there, the magic gem, the vengeance quest, all that stuff. It was like one of our RPG adventures.
Yeah.
And I think that's mentioned by other people. I was reading lots of comments, and other people had that same experience. That it just kind of hit at the right time when Dungeons and Dragons and people were playing all of that stuff, and it was just like, this has just come to life. And perhaps in a simpler time when there wasn't the internet and 1,000 different choices, and kids were younger and stuff, it would have just looked pretty.
That's why I didn't
spectacular.
set fire to it. That I believe that in its time, I would have rented it. I would have pulled it off the shelf. I would have rented it. Even then, I would have rented it. It's from that time, and it's unfortunately, it's one of those genres that doesn't age well as well, because unless you've got the big budget, tentpole special effects, and it didn't have a huge budget. You could tell there that even the effects that they used were some cheap pyro and just rocking footage back and forward in the edit suite and things like that. Probably they had a props department that they pulled all the stuff out of at the BBC, whatever. But yeah, I think it deserves its place. in the lore of that genre.
Yeah, I think you're all Philistines.
I think you got out of it.
We
pretty,
give you the benefit
pretty
of
easy.
the teenage
Yeah,
years.
absolutely. I've been taking it easy on you.
Well, it would just show how wrong you are. The harder you went, the wronger you would be.
This
Yep.
film had international releases as well. So I usually like to add the German translation to
Yeah.
movies
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Germans do weird things to titles. But this one is pretty benign. They're just calling it the Keeper of the Magic Sword.
Okay.
Keeper of the Magic. But the Greeks did better. The Greek title is Jack Otrello Sadistis, which I think translates as Jack the Crazy Madman.
Yeah. I like it. Who the hell's Jack?
Must be Voltan, I think, because I don't know. Names change too.
Well,
Jack Palance.
it would
Like,
have to be,
they must
wouldn't it?
have used
Because it
his
couldn't be
actually actors-
Hawk.
they
Could be
used his acting
described as a
name.
crazy madman.
I love it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So they're taking the name of the title, which tells us who the hero is, because the hero really doesn't get much of an
Oh,
introduction,
Jack.
right?
Yeah, Jack Palance, of course.
And then they
Weird.
turned the title of the film, which is the hero's name, into the bad
Yeah.
guy's name, who has a much better role, has much better acting, has much better everything.
Yeah.
Turn him into the hero.
That's really interesting.
Scored a 5.5 on IMDb rating out of 10.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I've seen a lot worse than that. It's out of 2,500
And it
votes.
actually had more than one or two female actors in it, which is a nice change for
Yeah.
us.
But of none of which you can see more than a chin or nose, or maybe, if you're lucky, the whole face. But everything else was always under.
But the
wrap.
sad
Yeah.
part is it still shows more than what we've seen in previous films.
Absolutely. It's the sausage fest that we've seen going on in some of these other films. All right, gentlemen, that's probably it for another show. I can quite confidently say that this one definitely will go up
Hey.
and be available on the podcast tomorrow. So
Right.
it's been great to get us all together again. We've got a few movies lined up to have a look at. We might not do a swords and sorcerer one for the next one, but I would like to visit Krull soon, rolling off one of this particular film.
And even Conan, perhaps.
Yeah,
The first
absolutely.
one.
Written by Oliver Stone,
Mm.
the Conan movie.
Or the more B grady Red Sonja is
Oh yes,
another one.
Yes.
Might be more suitable to the kind of movies that
Yeah,
we're using.
because Conan might be too good for us.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. It is cinema legend. Okay, so any parting words before we head off, gentlemen? Any excitement coming up over the next week or two? Nothing really. It's winter. It's winter here.
Yeah.
We hibernate. We've been doing a little bit of Elite Dangerous. Shall we say exploiting?
Trying to
Exploit, trying to get the big bucks.
trying to squeeze some fun out of the game.
But meeting people from the other side of the planet in the meantime. Oh no, from
New Zealand.
from the other side of the planet, living in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But we've been enjoying some of the new features.
So I don't play the game, but I assume that's international server is there.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just about to release on Xbox. It's already out on It's out on Xbox. It's just about to release on PS4,
And it's early access. on
and
this.
everyone can play in the same instance: PC, Xbox,
And also everyone worldwide. You don't have a Southeast Asian server and a European one.
Yeah.
Not to make this take too much longer, but the guy we met just randomly because there's an in-game chat, he's got virtual reality headgear
right.
set up. He's got the controls
and voice command.
and he's got voice commands. So he says, "Spaceship, turn on lights."
Raise the shields.
Yes, and it says,
Lower the landing gear.
turning on the lights, Captain.
And we'll be talking like he'll talk to you, and then in the middle of a sentence, he'll
Yeah.
say,
How are you guys going? Spaceship, turn on lights.
Just medium thrusters.
Yeah. What are you guys doing tomorrow? Drop landing gear.
I'm very keen to have a look at the new virtual reality Star Trek game, where you're on the bridge. It's
I
getting really big raps.
Seen a review of that. Looks pretty fun.
They reckon it's one of the best VR experiences that is available at the moment. And we have the ability to literally have three. I think there is 3 people who can play on the bridge at one time
There's the captain and
in
the
real time.
and a
Like
couple of other
weapons,
people,
nav, captain.
Three installs of the game though. Three computers.
3 separate
Yeah,
computers,
yeah.
yeah.
And
we
you'll
can
need
get 3 VR
goggles
units
and
and
stuff.
give that a crack. All right,
Sounds fun.
that's
All right.
it. We can banter like this forever, but we shan't. Rick, Tom, Dan, pleasure.
Been a pleasure.
Pleasure
Auf
to be here
Wiedersehen.
with you again. And until next time, that's it for another week.
See you later.
Bye for now.